So how did your musical education begin? Did you receive any formal training or were you mostly self-taught?
I did reserve some formal training, but I did start from the cold because my elder brother had already picked up an acoustic guitar from the wall, and that belonged to my father. And there were two of them, and then I started trying it out as also, and just learned by listening and hand for things for a year or two. Then got myself into some guitar and bass classes, and then I went to musical high school, where I actually took classical guitar and also like vocal training. And I have to say that at the 80s, that time in Finland, the classical elitism was pretty much strong. And my tutors didn't really like my vocal sound or everything. So my grades were from 4 to 10. Between 4 to 10, I was always getting 6 or 7. Also heard that Hietala boy, he smokes his cigars and bubbles in the winter time in Finnish snow with his leather jacket open. That boy is not going to sing for very long. That is now way over 40 years ago. Still here. Yeah.
So who or what inspired you pursue a career in a music career in the music in the first place?
I think it was the music itself, because I come from a family which was, like I said, Dad had acoustics, which we boys took up then later on, and he also had a serious album collection, old jazz, some rock, some pop, some folk music, Simon and Garfunkel, which is where I might get some very nice inspirations already from back in the day for vocal harmonies and all that. So there was a lot of it, and there was a lot of variety. And then us boys started to bring in albums with fuzzy guitars and all that. And I was 9 when my brother borrowed from the neighbor's dude. He borrowed Black Sabbath Master of Reality. And that was the time when I remember I was really blown away by the thing we came to know as heavy metal. So, yeah. There is a lot of influences and a lot of musical background just by being a listener and a fan too.
Great. So my next question is about joining Nightwish and band experience. So how did you first get involved with Nightwish? Could you tell us about how that collaboration started?
It was we were actually touring together. I was playing bass in Synergy and warming up for Nightwish on a European tour at the year 2000 for about 5 weeks. What do you know, we talked about some books and movies with Mr. Holopainen and all that, and ended up figuring that we got a lot of interests in common. And then by that time he already had kind of come to the conclusion that they need to change the bass player. So then these days infamous for some strangulation incident, Mr. Evo Pohjola called me that Thomas is visiting him, and they were thinking that Nightwish might want to have a singing bass player. What would I think? And I said, guys, wait for 5 minutes and I'll be at your place, because we were living like a few blocks away from each other. I came over and we had a little bit of talks how to adjust things, and Thomas said that there's going to be singing, but you can also sing lead parts, and if you have ideas for songs or arrangements, everything's open. I was like, this sounds really good. And I was pretty sure already that I'm going to do it. But then, of course, I had to go home and discuss it a little bit, because at the time that they called, I had just, with my wife then, I had the twin boys. They were like a month or 2 old. And I knew that if I'm going to be joining Nightwish, it'll settle some things. Those boys will have food on the table, but I'll be traveling a lot. And anyways, the wife was also on the opinion then and that, okay, this is going to solve, financial things. So she was all for it. Well, but I did go purely, of course, also in the interest of music, because that's something that I just kind of get interested in stuff that doesn't interest me. That's the basic ADHD person. Yeah. So, but that was interesting, especially since I had such year before seeing them live doing 5 weeks and came to the conclusion that this band has grown big, that they have presence and charisma and all that. And it was totally different to the times when I saw them for the first time live at 97 or 98, when it was still like music had great ideas, but they were still having that kind of a school band charisma. But that had changed in those 3 or 4 years total.
So what was your first impression of the band and how did you adapt to their style and expectations?
First impression of the band, well, like I said, saw them live 97, 96 to 98, between that one. And then, so that was kind of just the beginning that, like I said, the music had ideas and all that, but the band wasn't strong personally, like the people and all that. But it had totally changed because they had been touring a lot between and getting more albums out and everything. So when we got to that tour, when I was still playing in the Synergy and warming up for them, I was really surprised that, fuck, this works. There's a really proud and outstanding vibe in the whole thing. So in that way, I was really interested to see what we can come up with.
Yes, great. And you collaborated with several prominent bands such as After Forever, The Lane, Iron, Tyrion, and EＸİTİM. How would you describe your experiences working with these different projects and artists?
Delane, of course, comes to my mind first because with Martin we've become quite good friends during all the years. So we write to each other just for the hell of it every now and then. So that's been really nice to do. Because he's a great guy and has his own way of doing things. But then again, I basically don't want to do projects just because to do projects. It has to have musically something, or then I have to know the people personally, that they would be friends and I would be helping them out. Basically, the best situation would be that there would be great music done by friends. So then I would be happy to put my part into it.
Yes. So next question is about vocal range and technique. So what is your vocal range and how has it evolved over the years?
My vocal range is about 3 octaves. It's pretty much. It used to be even bigger, but they did remove polyp from here, and they didn't know from beforehand that one of the secrets of my sound is that my pipe is thinner than usual. And so they said that they had to go a little bit forcefully. And I was like, oh, fucking no. And what do you know? Nerve damage here. There is a spot that doesn't feel. So then I'm still working on it. Basically, I think all my life to kind of get it back in sync with the right one. I managed.
Yes.
And that, of course, also teaches you to find ways how the muscles and breathing and everything works in the optimal way. So I am watching my technique or techniques depending on whether I'm doing soft and sensitive or loud and rough, whether it's high or low and all that. There's all kinds of different places and angles of your system that you learn during all these decades that I've been singing. And I got all kinds of little quirks and stuff to do. My left nostril is tighter than the other, so I gotta do like and a lot of put pressure on the pipes to get it working as well. And all that. Yeah, the left side is the one that I always have to wake up a little bit.
Okay. And how do you take care of your vocal health, especially when performing demanding pieces?
The most important thing for me, I guess, is to have a basic physical condition. And when you're doing shows, get good night's sleep. Because that's when you come back, when you sleep. There is a reason why we all sleep.
Yes.
We use our bodies and faculties and mind for all day, and sleep is when everything returns.
Very important.
Yeah, so, and that's true for the vocal work, especially because it's all your muscle work if you go down to it.
Yes, that's. And do you follow any specific routines or practices to maintain your voice,
Yeah.
both on and off tour?
Yes. When I'm on tour, I do certain exercises and all that, but then if I'm home to keep that physical condition and the stamina, then I really have to do a certain exercises every day, or basically the idea that do them every day. Sometimes you're not in a situation where you can, so you miss that day, or sometimes even two, but then you just gotta go back. And yeah. So the physical work is something, especially a guy who is closing into his 60th year way too soon. Yeah, you gotta keep up your physics.
Yes. Have you ever experienced vocal issues during a live performance? How did you handle those situations?
Well, the main issue, I guess I mentioned already, the nerve damage. And of course, I'm hooked to nicotine. I don't smoke real ones anymore, but I have this electric cigarette where it's just my body telling me that the pipes work better. But I'd be happy if I could get rid of it totally. I'm just such a fucking addict.
Everyone is like that.
Huh?
I think everyone is like that.
But yeah, I got a system that I got to check out. There is this, what did they call it? Suggestion therapy. So you go basically to a hypnotizer for a few sessions and strengthen it up for a session next day and strengthen it up for a next day and all that. And I got a couple of friends who actually got rid of cigarettes with that. But this man who does this thing, he lives in Helsinki. I'm here. So I'll see if I have enough time at some.
And can you share your approach to harsh vocals, distorted vocals? What are some techniques or tips you would offer to aspiring vocalists?
I'd say that when you start going loud, you would also need to pay attention what happens to your mouth and tongue and everything when you go loud, just like normally, just like if you were shouting to your dog, "Hey!" And there you go. The chin goes back, tongue goes, and these go lower. When quite often vocalists try to stretch the end of the throat upwards. But when you shout normally, it goes down with me. So those are the things that, I've been trying to pay attention to them, that what is the most relaxed and natural way of producing any voice anywhere. And of course, the raspy and distorted singing is something where you have to be really know the places where your voice sets in, because otherwise you can blow it. And well, the voice itself is vibrations here, and pressure. Well, the rasp itself is a vibration, and we're all vibrating beings because every atom even has electrons going around, and that gives it certain frequency and everything. So certain raspy things are actually helpful even. Like I suffered from a really persistent, like a sinus infection, which I'm finally getting out. So in there, when you got a lot of mucus coming out, giving it a little bit of rasp in some certain words, end of lines, actually blows it a little bit outward. And then the next line is easy.
So my next question is about stage life and touring. What are some of the most memorable moments you had on stage, both good and bad?
Great moments. well, basically when you're in your 20s, you got your first single and album out, and you do your first big festivals and all that. That I remember playing in Finland in, for instance, this one festival where Twisted Sister was playing before us. And they had already done like come out and play in like hit albums and everything. It's like for young guys, oh fuck yeah, we're there. But we weren't yet. We just didn't know it then. So that kind of thing you remember, of course. Or remembering from, how do you say it? Schleier or Schleier. The first time ever we pulled like over 10,000 people to our own show with Nightwish. Playing in Wacken or Rock in Rio for over 80,000 people. You do remember those things.
Yeah.
There is not really that much one that would be that special anymore, because all these moments were special. And in bad cases, yeah. I remember the one where we were supposed to play this big festival in Germany. I don't remember which one, Rock am Ring, Rock im Park, either one of them. And then there was this equipment that was supposed to save power, and if there's a power cut, they will keep everything going. Those things were tuned totally really shitty, and what ended up happening was that they were cutting off power, and then there was a hell of a gap. You played like a song and a half, everything goes down. We wait, it goes 15 minutes, they get it back online, play a song more, it goes off again. And then, okay, we got like 20 minutes left. Let's fuck off. This is an anticlimax.
Have there been any unusual or funny incidents during tours that you still remember?
Sure enough. I mean, I played a pretty nice prank. On the last stretch, there was a lady named Kristin doing tour managing, and it was after the show. I was at the backstage digging out my bag. Okay, I want to get a shower. Where are my things? And I had some underwear there and all that. And then I saw Kristin, and my evil sense of humor took over. Kristin, look at this. Usually ladies throw their underwear. Some guy threw his at me. And she was, what are you doing it with your hand? This. And then she was totally, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, well, Kristin, don't kill me. They're mine. They're from the wash. I was about to put them on after the shower. She was about to kill me.
It's very fun. What do you pay the most attention to during a live performance? Are there any specific tools or equipment like a favorite microphone or in-ear monitors that are essential for you?
In fact, it seems to be pretty essential that I don't use in-ear monitors. It is again the tighter left side. If I block the ear channel, I get those infections way more. So at the moment, I'm actually doing it with like basic earphones, because the techs these days don't want to put the wedge monitors on the stage. Those days are gone. But it's a kind of an ongoing process. Now I'm on tour, so I'm playing with one set. When I have a little bit of a better time, I'm going to do a little bit more research, which would be maybe a little bit more discreet, but still have a good sound pressure and sound.
So my next question is about international connections and Turkey. So what do you know about Turkey and its music scene?
Very little, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, already the band had been a kind of a big, and my interest in like all the genre news and everything had faded, because basically they're all quite a lot the same. And then I had the serious, like the latest serious depression and anxiety bout, which actually made me retire from the public view for a while. But luckily then, when I talked to psychiatrists, both in Finland and in Spain, where I have kind of a winter base, because also the darkness started to affect me badly every year, worse and worse. So then this kind of an ADHD thing came from the bushes. I was like, what does it have to do with depression and anxiety? Quite a lot, apparently, when you read about it. And that was also why I was already deemed as a chronic depressive. And because we were medicating the wrong place, they always started to fade and stopped working properly, and I would go back into the darkness and all that. So now that I started, I got thrown into the deep end, into the fire almost immediately. Things started happening immediately. Get into a TV show in Finland, do shows, do album, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, and all that. So in the end, I'm very out of the picture. What is the street level of heavy metal anywhere, even in Finland these days? I've been on my own for too long. But social life is also coming back, so I might be better already after years.
So have you ever visited Turkey, or do you have any plans to perform here in the future?
Well, with my ex-wife and kids, we tried to come to have a holiday, but that went busted somehow. I don't remember. There was some kind of a strike thingy or whatever was going on, or there was something with the companies and all that. The flight company got changed or something, so it didn't work out anymore. So in the end, we ended up in Dubai. So this is actually probably my first time in Turkey. Did we ever do a show with Nightwish here? I don't think so.
No,
No.
you did.
Oh, we didn't, yeah. I remembered that right.
Okay. So are there...
But of course, you asked that, do I have plans to come over
Yeah.
later on? I mean, if the shows go well and people are nice, why not? Today we'll see.
Yes. Are there any Turkish artists you are familiar with or follow? Have you ever heard Şebnem Ferah, who is queen of Turkish rock, symphonic rock?
Okay, I do have to admit that I'm totally out of Turkish scene. Like quite a lot, almost any country, but I really haven't. I really don't know, so could you recommend one?
Yes, Şebnem Ferah.
All right.
She is the queen
The
of...
queen?
Yes, yeah.
Of symphonic rock.
Yes, that's true.
Metal or rock.
Actually, rock music.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't mind that. I love rock.
Yeah. Okay. So if you received a collaboration offer from a Turkish musician, how would you feel about it?
I would check the music out. That's the first thing. And then, yeah, I mean, like I said, if I take part in something, the music has to be something that I feel is worth it.
Great. So my next question is about Tarja Turunen and collaborations. Could you tell us how your reconciliation with Tarja happened after all these years?
Well, we had already met back in 2017, like doing Christmas shows on the same tour in Finland. So that's where it all kind of started to work out, because we had some talks. And I did apologize because it was after all the media hassle and everything, we all suffered. It was a rash and stupid way of doing things. And it also sent the blame very publicly to one direction, which is never the case, that the one direction is guilty of everything. That much I've learned. And at that time, hello kitty. At that time, we kind of cleared that out. But then this whole thing coming together to do shows and releasing a song together, that was 2023. We were already demoing new songs from my album. And there was this song, Left on Mars, which then Tuomas, my guitar player, Mr. Tuomas Väinölä, he said that this could be a duet. I had originally written it as a kind of a confessional love to the one person who followed me into the outer space and took me back like my wife these days. And then I figured, could it be a duet? And then I read it again. Okay, it could be. And then at the time, we already knew that we were going to be playing on the same festival, my band and Tarja's band, in this festival in Switzerland. And then Tarja had sent me a message that, what do you think if we did Phantom of the Opera together again? I was like, fuck, exciting. We're going to do it. And of course, when that was there, and my Tuomas said that this song could be a duet, click. I need to send an email, don't I? He was, yeah. And so we took the song on a USB stick to that festival, did Phantom of the Opera, which was an eye-opener in itself, because there's such a solemn feeling of, how can people be cheering and going wild and at the same time be solemn and moved? And I was moved because you could cut the atmosphere like with a knife. And I realized that it's important to these thousands of people. We too are on this stage. So then that Left on Mars kind of became even more important. It went into, we were putting up, demoing songs and putting up an album. So it went into the line of songs to record and mix and master as number one. And also started looking for the place to shoot a video and all that. And so that's how Left on Mars came to be out almost a year before the album itself.
And how did the idea of a joint tour with Tarja come about?
We were talking about it. And of course the agents were also kind of that we could do this together and then do some nice choices of legendary duets together on stage too and have the both bands play. No brainer, let's start putting it up.
And you recently released a collaboration with her called Left on Mars. What was the creative process behind that track? Are you planning any new singles with Tarja or other artists?
Okay. The creative process, I had the basic stuff for the song, the slightly Zeppelin-esque riff, the verses, the choruses, I had those, and then we just built the song with those elements. And of course we added a lot of stuff. Our keyboard player, Mr. Vili Ollila at the time, he's not in the band anymore, but he's a really educated guy. He writes film scores and for the whole orchestra and stuff, and he went to record all the orchestra stuff to Budapest and with their orchestra, and that kind of a thing is. But I already told you how it came to be, so that I contacted Tarja to do that duet.
So are you planning any new singles with Tarja or others?
Well, I basically owe Tarja one. That's what we agreed. It's a gentleman's and a ladies' agreement. You appear to mine when you get a proper song that you would like to have a duet. I'm there for you.
Great. And you worked with many different artists throughout your career. Who was the most challenging to collaborate with and why?
Challenging. I don't think anybody's been particularly that challenging with what they want me to do. But maybe if we talk about Arjen Lucassen and Arion and the album Theory of Everything, and that was probably like the session where we did takes and retakes the most. I mean, he's really sharp of how he wants it to sound, but it was not like a personally hard or anything, or voice-wise or something. We just did a lot.
And my next question is about Nightwish songs and solo work. Which Nightwish songs were the most challenging for you to perform live?
A Dead to the World is very easy on the verses and very hard on the choruses. It goes high and loud, but it still gives me more room breathing-wise than, for instance, something like Planet Hell, where in the verses we go actually even higher than in Dead to the World. But those are like short gaps where you come down pretty fast, so very easy to kind of throw in. And also doing live those tracks, have to remember that don't get carried away by your own rasp. Don't overdo it. Let just natural come out.
On the other hand, which songs did you enjoy singing the most?
Also Dead to the World. But there are other ones, like Siren has a really nice chorus, which I really enjoyed doing. And then if we think about Nightwish music in itself, I still have a really soft spot for the album Imaginarium, because in all its craziness and musical variety and abundance, I really love that stuff. I mean, it's symphonic prog rock and metal and everything else.
So what are your current plans for your solo career? Can we expect new music or tours in the near future?
Yes, you can. I mean, again, I'm a little bit out of where and when dates and where. This is the year that we're going to be doing quite a lot of shows, continuing on to 2026 too. But I think we already talked about, we got some new ideas and pieces of songs with the band. So we might get together just for a little bit of a song camp next summer too. At the moment, it's not necessary yet.
So if you were invited to Nightwish 13th anniversary celebration, how would you feel about it?
We would have to discuss a little bit about things, because I will not be connected to guys who strangle women in bars drunk. And that management was a big problem for me also already originally. That's why they are the biggest reason I walked away. And there you have it. But I'm willing to talk to band people, and I have. I mean, we still got the companies and that are getting like back catalog royalties in and all that. So we need to.
So do you think the band could move past the history with Tarja and Analizi and rebuild a positive friendship together?
I really don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I did apologize to Tarja because of the way how things turned out. And in the inside, how one-sided that thing was. But I don't know. We've talked about it also, but it's obvious that she also had trouble with the management people who seem to be not very understanding about the other six. Well, that one I knew.
Yeah. So thank you very much for
No
your
problem.
answers. So the last one is we'd like to play a little game with you called Smurf Test.
Okay.
So we will give you a few names and you tell us which Smurf you think they would be. Feel free to get creative. So first one is Marko Hietala.
Yeah, I'm long-haired and blonde. Am I that Smurfina? Hey, these days you can have the identity which way you want.
Yeah. And the next one is Tarja Turunen.
I'm actually Smurfina back. She can have it. I would be the guy with the red hat.
Okay. Charlotte Vessels.
I don't know. I can't really remember everybody of them. I remember the glass guy, the inventor, and I remember the old dude with the red hat, the leader. I remember Smurfina.
Yeah. So maybe you can just give nicknames to them.
Which Smurf would I connect to Charlotte? I mean, now they have to clone that Smurfina.
Yeah.
So that there's enough for Tarja and her. If they clone her Smurfina, then there would be one for me too.
Tuomas Holopainen. Which Smurf for you?
Is there somebody who thinks a lot. Not so talkative. If there was one of those Smurfs, then I would be saying that there is a dude who thinks
Yeah.
more than speaks.
Yes. And the next one, Anneke van Giersbergen.
Giesbergen. One more clone for Smurfina, but also one with a very particular sense of humor. I like her. She's great.
Anette Olzon.
Not in my tribe anymore.
Clementine Delaunay.
Sorry?
Clementine Delaunay.
Okay. Now we need a tall one. Was there a tall one?
And last one is Flor Jansen.
Even more tall one. We really need
Yes.
we really need some tall Smurfina clothes. I'm sorry I'm this boring.
No, thank you very much. So,